Hi there, Doc from Barcast Audio here, and today I'm going to be talking with you about the powerful study tool you should be using to make your study time more efficient, to maximize your study time, and to make sure that you're not distracted as you're progressing, as you're reading your law school books, as you're outlining, whatever you're doing. We're going to maximize that study time with today's lesson. So today I wanted to talk with you guys about the Pomodoro Method. Some of you may have heard about this from your undergrad universities. I know I had not until I got to law school. I had no idea what Pomodoro was. And honestly, even when I was in law school, I don't think it was super commonly used. So a little bit about what Pomodoro is. So in 1992, a student in Rome came up with this pretty simple but deceptively clever technique for staying at his desk and getting things done. And if you're anything like me, but once you're in law school, you're trying to use those same study techniques and they're not necessarily translating. So you may need something else, a new technique to try to help you actually stay at your desk and make the most of your time at your desk. You're not just scrolling Facebook or looking at the internet or Google, Amazon shopping, whatever you're doing. So back to that student in Rome, he essentially grabbed a tomato-shaped timer, one of those kitchen timers, and he set it for 25 minutes. And he decided he was going to commit that 25 minutes, that entire 25 minutes, to just one task. Thereafter, he'd take a short break and then would use that short break, that time, to refocus. After that short 2 to 5 minute break, he would once again set that timer for 25 minutes, and that would be concerted, conscious, active study time. Now, he used this over and over again, and he called it Pomodoro, which is tomato in Italian. But this Pomodoro method has gained in popularity over the years. Over the years, I've heard and I've worked with a number of law students who have used this to really excel, establishing a consistent study routine in terms of actually setting yourself to one task at a time and getting that task done. If you're anything like me, that can be a challenge. We're easily distracted, especially in law school, between reading, lectures, briefing cases, outlining. Law students frequently struggle to stay on top of everything. Law school has a different sort of rigor than college does, and it's very typical for students to sometimes feel overwhelmed by that. So this Pomodoro method is a tool you can use to overcome that feeling of being overwhelmed, to acclimate to the challenges, the rigors of law school. These short breaks are perfect for kind of recentering yourself. Okay, now I have a couple minutes to myself. I have a couple minutes of phone time. I have a couple minutes of TikTok, YouTube, whatever you want to do in those 5 minutes. You can refocus yourself and prepare to then dive back in to a concerted, conscious 25-minute sprint. And these writing sprints essentially involve just concerted effort, writing for an hour, writing for 20 minutes. I think an hour is too long, but if you're somebody who thinks 25 minutes is too long, you can adjust the Pomodoro method as you see fit. You can do 30 minutes. You can do 40 minutes of these longer efforts and do 15 minutes off, 45 minutes on, 15 minutes off. I did that at various points, especially when studying for the bar exam. I would do the Pomodoro for 45 minutes on, concentrated, conscious studying, and then 15 minutes off. But if you're just getting started, I recommend you go with the 25 minutes and then 5-minute break, just because it's a little bit easier to make those concerted efforts. I know that there are many students who struggle with their attention span, with locking into something. So this is kind of a really useful way to not make yourself feel bad about sitting at your desk for 4 hours and only getting a couple things done. If you're doing these sprints of concerted effort, you're just absolutely going to get through more stuff. And really, one of my favorite things about this method is you don't need too much stuff. So let's go through a couple of the things you need to really make the most of the Pomodoro method. Very simply, you need a timer. A phone or a watch timer is really good. I think it's kind of better to have a watch timer or something that's non-web-based or phone-based, because you may be tempted to dip back into your phone, you see a notification. We have so many push notifications now. So if you have just a little short timer, even if you have one of those kitchen timers, though, don't probably bring that into the library. People will hate you. So don't do that, but figure out some sort of timer where you're not going to be distracted by the timer itself, because that kind of defeats the purpose of the entire operation. Next up, when it comes to law school, you need some sort of subject or task. So let's say con law. You want to study a subtopic within con law. So today I'm going to study the First Amendment. I'm going to study freedom of religion. For 25 minutes, I'm going to go, and then I'm going to take a short break, and I'm going to study freedom of expression. Whatever the next subject you're going to do, put those into a short Pomodoro module, plan what you're going to do before you get started. I highly recommend that before you dive into one of these Pomodoro sessions, you say, these are the tasks I need to get done. My first section is going to be this. If I can get that done, then I'll move on to this for the next section. And that's how you really manage your time there. Next, you don't necessarily need a subject to study. You can also have some sort of task, right? Let's say you need a legal brief done. You want to get the body of the argument section done in 3 or 4 short Pomodoro sessions, 45 minutes and 50 minutes off. So as self-explanatory as it seems, let's just go quickly through what a Pomodoro session would look like. Number 1, we're going to pick a subject. Number 2, we're going to set the timer for, let's say, 25 minutes. Just go by the old-fashioned Pomodoro method if you're first getting started with this. Then we're going to shut down. Outside world is off. 25 minutes of active work, of concentrated effort on this one particular subject, on this one particular effort. Then when the timer goes off, we're going to switch to a short break. We're going to refocus ourselves. We're going to go to the bathroom. We're going to read something on our phone. We're going to go on ESPN.com. We're going to watch TikToks, whatever you want to do. If you want to argue with nameless Twitter eggs, if you want to watch mindless TikToks for 25 minutes, whatever, not 25, for 5 minutes. That's it. You've earned it. Now you reset the timer. After those 5 minutes, you recenter yourself and you keep going. The total session for these Pomodoros should be 120 minutes when you're first getting started. 2 hours of concentrated effort time. Obviously, you have a couple breaks in there, but we can get into longer sessions as we progress, as we become more accustomed to this method. After you've done 2 Pomodoros, or 2 or 3 at least, I typically recommend you go and take a break. Some people say 3 is a lot. I think 2 is more than enough to kind of take 30 minutes, take a full 30-minute break and come back. Go grab lunch, grab a coffee. Utilize that time to step away from the enormity of your task, whatever it is you're doing. You can't learn all of con law all at once. So use one of those longer breaks in between these Pomodoro sessions to, once again, refocus yourself. I'm not someone who can just completely stare at a screen for 8 hours consecutively. I think there's a situation where the returns are diminishing when that starts to happen. So keep that in mind as you're doing this. You can do a couple of these 120-minute Pomodoro sessions per day. Keep in mind that, like I said, you want to break them up typically. But when you're first getting started, stick to these 25 minutes, 5-minute breaks. If you're doing these shorter, finally, just before I go, I want to just briefly talk with you about the satisfaction you're going to receive. If you're doing some of these short Pomodoro sessions, let's say you do 2 longer 120-minute sessions with the 25-minute Pomodoros. At the end of the day, when you look back at everything you've done and you've 8 successful Pomodoros, whatever you had, you're going to feel so good about yourself. The satisfaction you feel is really unparalleled. It's one of my favorite parts about doing this, one of my favorite parts about working with students on utilizing this as a study tool. So use Pomodoro today. If you have any questions, you can check us out at barcastaudio.com. We have some materials that are shorter. You can study basically a whole subtopic for any of your law school courses within that 25-minute window, and then have time left over to make little short notes or whatever you want to do for the next 10 minutes. But something to keep in mind. Until then, remember to check out barcastaudio.com. I will be back soon. Remember to also follow the channel, subscribe for more of these videos. Until then, I'll talk to you guys soon now. Bye now.